Welcome.
So my talk is about ways in which I didn't anticipate to practice care in my life. So I realized that self-care is a pretty, hot button topic these days, and we try to do a lot more acknowledging the importance of self-care, why we need care in our lives, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm totally on that train. I think we live in a society that doesn't... Oh, I should have my phone out. I'm really good at rambling, and so if I just know what time it is, then I won't put my phone down and be like, oh shit, it's the comedy show already. So, there we go. So, we don't live in a society that prioritizes care. And that's really a bummer. That's really unfortunate for everybody. And now, like I said, we're in this time where it's starting to be a bit, it's trending to talk more about self-care and things like that. You'll come up onto your Facebook and you see a picture that says hey, you shouldn't say sorry so much. You should learn to say thank you more often, which is true. The idea that perhaps you shouldn't be saying hey, sorry, I'm late, but instead, thank you for being patient, or whatever. And these are really, really great tips to make really small changes in your life that will drastically affect you more than you realize, and our community, and our games. And I'll get to all that. So there's a particular thing that inspired me to do this talk. I was speaking at an event called Heartbeat in Australia a couple months ago, which was incredible, by the way. For anyone who's familiar with Lust, it was like an Australian Lust. And I met someone there who does this thing where she always thanks her friends when they are practicing self-care, or even showing care to someone else. The example I often default to is when I went to GDC this year. The moment I got into San Fran, I got incredibly sick, really sick. I didn't leave the hostel for 2 days. And it was really hard for me because, you get to GDC, it's super hype, everyone's there, everyone's messaging you, come to this, come to that, come to this, come to that. And I'm like, I can't. And the FOMO was real. I was the worst part about being so sick was how depressed it made me feel. But I was I'll ruin the week if I push through this, and it'd be better off for me to spend a couple days staying in and then savor what I can. And I remember talking to her, and she said, thank you for staying in and resting and taking care of yourself. And something like that doesn't actually just come to everyone naturally to say. It actually at times feels really awkward or silly to thank your friends for things they do for themselves. You're hey, you coming out with us tonight for this thing? And then they're nah, I'm really tired, I'm just gonna go home. At best we'll be all right, fair enough. But to actually make a very active effort to thank someone for doing something that's good for them, you are thanking someone you care about for taking care of someone you care about. And by extension, if your friend is hey, yeah, I'm gonna go meet up with so-and-so, they're having a hard time lately, I make an effort now to thank them for taking care of their friend, even if I'm not friends with that person, because these are values that I think we should be prioritizing in society. These are things that are important to me. These are ways in which we practice care and show that it should be a priority. Also, it's hard to practice self-care. It's not easy to make that decision to do something for yourself. It is not easy to choose to do the thing, right? Yeah, it is not. Yeah, thank you. It is not easy to be it seems funny to say, but it's not easy to be you know what, actually I'm not gonna drink. I really need to take it easy tonight. Or to just go home and sleep. Or to whatever it is you need to do. Maybe it's just you know what, you're someone who gets really overwhelmed by events like this, and you need to just get out of this space. It's not always easy to do that. And when people you care about around you, especially if it's multiple people, because I don't know multiple people who do this, but if lots of people come up to you and are hey, thank you for opting not to stay with us and doing a thing that you really need to do for yourself. It feels so good to have that effort acknowledged and validated. because you yourself will forget to give yourself credit for taking care of yourself. And so to do that, and like I said, to even do that when people express it to other people, like if someone is taking care of someone else here, it's like, hey, thank you so much for taking care of that person. Thank you so much for perpetuating care in our society. This is how society should function, and it doesn't. And one thing that really blew me away, and I was thinking about this in particular, I have a friend who wants to make games about utopian futures, like what society could be like, et cetera, et cetera. And I was thinking, like, when we see sci-fi movies and shit like that, first of all, they're always like dystopian often or whatever. They're all Blade Runner-y or whatever. But when we think of the future, we think of advancements, especially in technology. We think of flying cars. Like, that's sci-fi as shit. We think of, holographic means of communicating with each other. Like, it's not, like, when you think of the future, you don't inherently go, oh yeah, a time where we all care about each other. Which is mind-blowing if you think about it. Like, why is peace not like the number one thing we think about in like our ideal future that we will all like to be living in? Because it really is one of the most important things we should be trying to achieve. Now, like world peace, I think like the world is too big, it's too conflictual. So many of your own values conflict with each other. It's kind of impossible to just get this thing that's going to be like, there's nothing that can be like unanimously agreed upon, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And that should actually be a relief. Nothing will ever be 100%. You will never be 100% well prepared, 100% well rested, 100% well studied, or whatever it is, for whatever the thing is. And that should not bum you out. That should make you realize, like, oh, it's never going to actually be 100%. I really can just do the best I can. And one of the ways that we can encourage each other to do that, and one of the ways that we can better show affection to each other, or I don't know if affection is the right word, is essentially by focusing on new ways of expressing care to one another, which is why for the past few months, I have been making it such a point to thank my friends for the good things they do for themselves and for their other friends, because I want to live in a world where we take care of each other. Think again on like what I was trying to present to you when I was saying, like, how come when we think about the future, it's always just like future cars, and we're always thinking like we can actually make a heart just beat in a box now. That kind of stuff is crazy, but that's always like the first thing you think about when you think of the future. But I really like, especially for me, I'm constantly trying to think not just about ways to practice like, because I'm a very affectionate person, so it's very easy for me to like show love or whatever, but that's not necessarily care. In fact, sometimes it's quite the opposite, because not everybody gels with the same level of expressing affection in the way that you do. So remember that one of the ways to express care is to create space. To create space for other people to practice self-care. And this is why peer pressure is actually the fucking worst. I think it's true that perhaps sometimes a little support from your friend can help you do something that you actually want to do. But there are so many situations, just as many, if not more, where you don't want to do something and your friend's like, come on, I just want beer, and they push it your way. And I've been in a lot of really messed up situations where people did stuff like that to me. And that is the opposite, obviously, of creating space. You are literally taking away someone's space, someone's ability to say, no, I don't want that. I'm not down with this. This isn't cool. Which is, again, if we bring this, because I just wanted to talk about care, but this actually is really relevant to games, because games are constantly teaching us, constantly creating models that end up being reflected in society way more than they should be. And I think one of the biggest ones is like games that have romances, that have like kindness token systems, for example. And then we just create this idea that like I can just give that person a gift twice a week and then she'll marry me in a few in-game days or whatever. But that actually gets reflected in patriarchy. That's where you have people going like, I don't get where I'm getting friend-zoned. I'm so nice. But that's not how it works. So when we think about games, especially games that are going to show the future in any way, show ways in which we can practice care with one another, because games really are going to affect how our societies develop, and I think we should be living in societies that prioritize care. Thank you. I'm Elie Abraham.
Wait, Elie, wait. This is on. So I don't have the knight. Can someone be a knight? Can someone be a knight?
Yo, I need to get knighted.
Knighting. I don't have anything, so you can use this pen. You usually use spatula. I'm gonna give him an award. So you.
This is important. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm a baroness. I actually am a baroness, so I'm not just a knight. I'm actually a baroness, so that's even better than a knight. There you go.
Sweet. All right. So I want to announce the winner for the Scrambleshake 18, the Create Space Egg. That's probably better. Award winner. And then the winner is Elie. You.
Oh my God, it's me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Baroness. I appreciate it. Can I go now?
No.
We still do the
So what do I do now?
speech.
Oh, I have to give a speech.
Speech.
Let me tell you, to be the Create Space Egg is really the greatest thing I could have ever imagined happening in my life. I really can't read what this says. Like the Create Space Egg. Wow, space egg. So when we think about the future, we think about space eggs and shit. How come we're not thinking about carrying eggs? And that's what I want to see in the future. Thanks for the speech. Here.
Yeah.